All right, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I know it's a off night for us, but we're here nevertheless because last night I went and hung out with Tony and played game night. And am I third or fourth place? Fourth. Okay. So I'm fourth place.
Fourth place.
And we did pretty good last night. We were the fastest game that's ever been played. So I don't care that I'm fourth place because the person that I played against is first place. So
there you go.
I kind of think that you put me against the number 2 and number 3 seed. I'm smoking them and I'll be second place.
Okay, I see your math. I can go with that.
Yeah, because the pressure will be on then. Because then it'll be like, whoa, he played the fastest game.
Right.
With the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
He's got to be good, right?
No, and you guys, we normally, that will go on average, I'll say an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes. When I looked and we were done, we were at 42 minutes. And I was like, what?
Right. We smoked that thing.
Yes.
So a lot of fun over there. It's a lot of fun. If you're not watching game night with Tony over at Tony at the Kettle Kitchen on Tuesday,
what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? And if you're not subscribed to his channel, again, what is wrong with you? But always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
I got to take this chit chat for a second.
Go ahead. So what we're going to talk about tonight, guys, is going to be real simple. It's going to be quick, down and dirty. Get through it. Let's do it. We're going to talk to Tony about how he does preservation and how he does it on a budget. Why it's important to do it. Okay. You guys know that we have a lot of stuff, especially in the garden time, that comes out that we have to either prepare and eat or we have to preserve. Okay. Because waste not, want not, especially in today's society, you got to figure it out. Right. And so Tony has got a great channel. He's got great skills where this plays in the part of doing it on a budget and doing it smart and preserving everything. Okay. That you can preserve. So, Tony, that's what I want to talk about tonight. The importance of preservation and what do you think? What's one of the biggest things that got you into preserving food?
The big C, not the usual big C, but the recent big C.
Right.
I think what really poked the bear, we'll use that analogy, was people going nuts over toilet paper. And I thought to myself, if they're going to do that over toilet paper, what are they going to do that over peanut butter or jelly and jam or pears and peaches and all the other stuff? And my brain just started going, and I'd always had an inclination to do it, but I was so nervous. I'd seen too many flying saucers through the roof of the stove and the ceiling in the house from canning, and obviously uneducated about the difference between the two. But so anyways, it's what pushed me that direction. The very first year, I think we did 600 jars of food.
That's a lot.
The second year we did almost 1,300 jars of food. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's melded quite back a bit because now we homeschool when we weren't before. But I still get, when I got time and I got the stuff to do it with, it's going in a jar and it's getting canned. Here this next month, I'm going to dive into the dehydrating. That's my next step. So
again, and that's another way to preserve it and keep it. Mike's already got a question. I don't know that you can answer this or not.
Yes, Mike or Jason. That is exactly. I see. I'm going to go with Jason's first. Okay. Yes, that's what I meant. Mike. Give me 1 second. I'll give you an answer to that question.
Okay. So, you guys know, just like we do, those prices were outrageous. People were, not only was there none to be found on the shelf, But then the people who had it were taking the said toilet paper and reselling it for astronomical prices.
Right.
Okay. And you can only imagine what they would do to food. Okay. Food, they would really, really jack you for. So, Tony's right. Whenever it comes to that, you got to look at situations like that and you got to reassess the way you think about everything.
Right.
And you really have to take, count of what's priority in your life,
Right.
and canning does take time. It takes time to learn. It takes extra steps to do things. Right. But the end goal is to make sure that you and your family have food to eat. So it's a very, very important thing.
Right. Right. So I think the best way to answer Mike's question about the altitude issue is get yourself one of these books. Okay. This book, and it's called The Complete Guide to Home Canning. It's through USDA. I'm not saying you got to sit here and condone the USDA. That is not what I'm telling you. The science has all been done in that book. That's the point. Okay. It tells you altitudes. It tells you at what boiling points different altitudes boil. The standard for most people is 212 degrees because that makes a separation between whether you can water bath can or you can pressure can. Okay. For most people in the US. Now there's countries that don't follow these guidelines and all that. And I'm not here to have that argument or discussion. I try to follow that book as much as I can. So if you're, and I can even tell you real quick, if you're sitting at below sea level or up to, I think it's 1,000 feet, sea level. So from sea level up to 2,000 feet, water boils at 209 degrees. It doesn't boil at 212 degrees like it does down at sea level or below.
Wow.
Okay. And so as it goes higher, the less the temperature is to get it to boil because you have the altitude working against what you normally would think. The whole point I'm trying to make in saying that is that this book does the science. You just follow what it says. When you get into recipes, and I'm not going to sit here and go over them, I'm just telling you, there's a page in here. It's 7-5, and it shows you a temperature test for dependent on altitude. Then you get into recipes, and it'll tell you the cook time for sizes, processing time, not cook time. So if you're using pints on this one specific one, I just picked one, and it says 0 to 1,000 feet. It tells you it's 30 minutes. 1 foot to 3,000 foot is 35 minutes. It tells you where you're at. This is what you should do it at. So to me, it just, why try to reinvent the wheel? The wheel's already there. That's my point.
Right. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So get you one of those books, guys, and that'll help you out a lot. There's a lot of books out there that are very helpful and give you good information that you need. And what you do with that information is completely up to you. You take it for what it's worth, but you have basically it's a starting point to which you can glean from and then go out into your own path and learn how to can and water bath and all those things.
And the flip side to that, Ryan, though, just because you said the way you did, which I agree with, not everything you want to can or process is in this book. So go out and find a recipe, but then come back to this book. Does it correlate with what's being said in here? If it is, it's probably a safe recipe.
Right.
If it doesn't, I'd make sure whatever I'm looking at that's different is evaluated. That's all.
Right. Exactly. Because the one thing you don't want to do is have food sitting there that when you eat it gives you botulism or some kind
whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And you sit there and either kill you or make you puke and crap your guts out. You do not want that.
No.
All right. So it's better to err on the safe side of things than to err on maybe it'll work. Right. So always err on safe.
So in the beginning, when I started canning, I'll be honest, I was what most people would call a canning Nazi. You either did it by the book or I didn't talk. Well, in the very beginning, I didn't know what I was doing, so I had to learn. Okay.
Right.
once I realized what I was doing and was able to find the resources and got pointed in the right directions, and I evaluated what information I had, I became what was considered a canning Nazi, because you either do it by that book or you don't do it. That's just the way it goes.
Right.
Because of what you just said, I'm not out to get anybody sick. I don't want to give my neighbor down the street a jar of jam and have him vomit all night because I gave him something. And I would feel horrible if anybody got sick off of
Absolutely.
Something. Okay. But that's not just, so I've evolved because there's a reality, I can't, if you and your wife do a jam recipe from 100 years ago and it's always worked for you guys, great, I'm happy for you. I just won't do it myself because it's not a recipe I'm used to, and I haven't done it that way until I went through the book and verified everything's what it should be. Okay.
Right.
There's constant changes from that book, and I'll give you 2 examples. Elderberry used to be something you were allowed to can, and they've gotten away from it because I think it's because the acidity level in the berries, it fluctuates too much. The second thing was chicken. When you process chicken, which is supposed to be pressure canned because it's a protein, used to be an inch head space. Now it's an inch and a quarter. Now the big question, why did they change that?
Right.
Well, because we have Godzilla chicken now. We don't have normal chicken from 50 years ago.
Right. Yep.
It's all injected with everything. I mean, unless it's on your farm and you're doing yourself and you know what's going on.
Right.
Still, I would play the inch and a quarter just for safety reasons. Okay.
Right.
Anyways, but I've gotten to a point where my home, my rules follow this book. If you don't want to, that's fine. I won't be coming to your house for dinner. Don't be offended by it.
Right.
That's just the way it's going to go.
Right. Right.
So,
and Ball, if you have Ball canning books and stuff like that, they, like, a lot of these things have exactly what you need in it, whether it's pressure canning or canning or water bathing. If you've got a recipe book, it tells you exactly step by step, how to do most of this stuff.
So on that note, again, because you brought it up, I got to talk about that a little bit. A lot of the extension offices have stopped recommending Ball recipes as of, I think, 2023, because they're now just testing in their own kitchen. They're not USDA tested like they had been before. Okay. So to be safe and lessen liability, they're like, if you're going to do it, you're doing it on your own. We're not recommending that. We'll recommend anything out of the USDA book or any manipulation of that recipe that is a safe variance. They'll let you know whether that you can do it or not. But so anyway, I'm just putting it out there.
Right. No, it's good information. It's good information.
And I'm not affiliated or promoting anybody because it's not the way I work. So.
Right.
So sorry, Jason, I had to shut my door.
No, you're good. So Jason says, what is your preferred containers? The local places here were like, people want to can, so they bought anything and put it on the shelf, and was cheap Chinese junk. Anything other than Kerr and Ball. Are you using anything other than Kerr and Ball?
So I've used Kerr, I've used Ball. As far as jars, let's go that route. I've used Kerr, I've used Ball, I've used Mason, which that Mason is a style. It used to be a brand name. It's not so much a brand name anymore, but then there was Pure, Purr. I'm not criticizing them because I never really used their jars. I only used a few of them because I had them. Anchor Hawking has good jars. The problem with these other companies, okay, so this is my opinion. I am not a professional. I am not a master canner. So you're getting it from my point of view, okay? Jars I don't have so much problem with. I actually went through a warehouse place called Uline. I don't know if you guys have heard of it or not, but you can buy jars through them, okay?
Right.
Jars, yes. Lids, I'm a little more particular on because the jars are jars.
Right.
As long as they're the right size, I honestly, as long as they don't have a habitual record for cracking or breaking,
right,
I'll use them. Okay. The lids, I'm a little more finicky. I only use 4-jar lids. Now, that being said, okay, before anybody attacks me on that, 4Jars Lid is a company that was based out of Florida that as time went on, contracted with a company in China. Okay. Now, a lot of people threw fits about their product because it was made in China, which I get. I'm not disagreeing with that. I understand it. And most of the lids we were getting during the C, they were crap. I mean, they were just crap. Now, everybody's like, yeah, that's why I stuck to my ball. Most people, my ball lids. Right. Most people were using ball lids they've had for 10, 20 years or 5 years sitting in their cupboard. Yep. If you were to go out and buy new ball lids, I kept hearing failure after failure after failure. And then we come to find out they thinned out the compound that's around the lid. That makes it seal. The metal was thinner. So it was a company that was unwilling to accommodate the need at the time when the C happened and everybody was buying everything for years. Because now I only started in 2019 canning. Okay. I haven't been doing this all my life. Okay.
Right.
I would go up to the store that's up here local. They would have a shelf, just nothing but canning supplies. When the C hit, I was lucky if I seen canning supplies. I mean, anything, whether it was pectin, whether it was lids, whether it was citric acid, there was nothing canning up there because it was getting consumed as soon as it came out. Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, so I started looking, okay, I need to find something. I had went through Denali lids, they all buckled. So I got rid of those. I went through Anchor Hawking lids, they all buckled. I got rid of those. And it's not because, yes, some people would say, well, is it user malfunction or is it product malfunction? I'll give that a portion of it may have been over tightening or not getting a good seal. That's a possibility that happens in every batch you do. Okay.
Right.
You know that as well as I do. Okay. But when every lid I put on has a tendency to buckle or not seal, there's a problem with the product. And we're talking 5, 6, 7 batches. You add up the money of that 5, 6, 7 batches of food I've just lost because it buckled or it shattered or the glass shattered or something. Anyway, so when 4Jars lids stepped up, yes, they were made from a company in China. The difference between them and any other company that was made or that was using anything in China is that 4Jars lids actually had a testing team that was housed in China and did daily and weekly routine checks and tests of the product coming out. They were testing quality. They were testing, is there any chemical or any other compound on here that's going to make people sick? I mean, they were going through the ringer for it.
Right.
They now have transitioned where most of their stuff is actually housed here in the U.S. They're getting ready to open. I don't know if they have yet, but they were getting ready to open a canning facility here in the U.S. And they're on their way to making their own jars. Okay.
Cool.
That's a game changer. Anyways, my whole point in saying all of that about 4Jars lid. Now I have an affiliate link with 4Jars. I'm not asking anybody to go over and use it. That's not the point I'm getting to.
Right.
And most YouTubers that can, they do have that because 4Jars lid has been great to all of us.
Right.
So I tried them out. I had not one fail. Okay. So I'll try another set out. So I tried a different size, another unit size set, not one fail. I didn't have any problems. I went awesome. seven months before I had my first one that buckled, and come to find out it's because I over tightened it. Okay. That's on me.
Right.
But the product itself was not failing. Okay. They have, I'll give you an idea. And I know that some people say from a business point of view, it makes sense that they would do this, but I'm here to tell you, as a content creator on YouTube, as a canner, 4Jars lid stepped up and provided for what the typical community wasn't doing. And I'll come out and say it. Kerr and Ball were not facilitating, trying to do whatever. Matter of fact, we found out a year and a half later, Ball intentionally was not sending supplies out.
Right.
So the shortage wasn't always because people were going out buying it.
It's because they
didn't was also because they were holding it back.
Trying to see if they couldn't make the money.
If they could raise the demand up. Exactly. And it's like, I'm not going to show your people, but that's what I did. I gave them, that thing. I said, no, I'm not doing this game. You're either there to help people or you're not. And if you're not, get out. I don't need
you. Yep. Exactly.
Anyway, so moving forward real quick, I'll try to finish this part. I reached out to Four Jars Lid in, so this will be the third year now. So add with me, 21, I guess it would be.
Right.
I did a Jam It Up June collaboration. It was my very first collaboration I had ever done. I had a ton of response about it. Four Jars Lids co-sponsored that one, and ever since have been the primary sponsor of Jam It Up June and Jar It Up July. And we were the first channel that they agreed to actually do content with. They did their own video in our collaboration, and that was wonderful. It was a hit. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So they are very much about getting into the community. Now they're not just in the canning community; they're in the homesteading community. They're in multiple communities, and I think more power to them. I think it's
absolutely,
great.
Absolutely, and that's what you need. More company needs to be like that. Their reach needs to be that far.
Right. I agree.
It can only benefit them. And so it's smart marketing. It's smart, to get out there and do that. Right. People see that and they want to buy your product, and it overcomes anything that they might not like if their stuff is made in China or anything like that. Right. So
again, don't misunderstand me, because I want to make this very clear. And me and you have talked about this. If I could go back to everything I bought in this country being American made, I don't care if I paid more for it. Okay.
No,
I have no issue with that.
Yep.
But when you're dealt with the situation, you go to a farmer, you go to a tractor guy, you go to a diesel guy, you go to a nail salon. I don't care where it's at. When everything's made from a location, you have no choice but to eventually use it, because it's where you're going to get it from.
That's right.
Okay? So yes, I understand the headache people had with it, but I went out on a limb, and I have not once been unhappy with that decision I made 3 years ago now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I do want to answer one question I see in here, if you don't mind. Heather put up there, the thing is that they're not unsafe practices. They just haven't been tested. She's spot on, 100% correct. USDA does not have the funding, because it keeps getting cut, to go out and test things. So I'm not here to say they're unsafe in the sense that I know that for a fact. I just know they've not been tested to see density and viscosity and pressure and all that. I'm not here to be that guy, because I'm not that guy. I am not a science guy at all, other than what I read. So I agree with what she's saying, but I'm not going to be the one that says, go for it, spot on, you can do it, because I don't know whether you can or not.
Right. Let's see. What did Jason say?
Defund USDA.
He says things that are designed here and made in China is usually better quality, but when it's designed and produced there, it's usually junk.
And you're right.
Yeah.
You are right. Yeah.
So outside of that, outside of 2020 happening and everything, what's the benefits that you've seen, to canning up that much food in a year for you guys?
You have no idea. When I walked back into my pantry and I could go shopping in my pantry and everything was hunky-dory. It didn't matter whether a check didn't come. It didn't matter whether my wife got sick and couldn't go to work. It didn't matter. It was there. We had food. That feeling of not having to worry about where's the food coming from, if that's what you're only using, you can't compare that to anything. That's an experience that you only get. And I don't care whether you're canning, whether you're dehydrating, whether you're freeze drying, whether you're butchering and putting it in your own freezer. That feeling is the same for all of us in that situation. Gardening, when you can come back and harvest and 90% of what you ate over the summer came out of your garden, that's a feeling you can't replace with going to a grocery store.
That's true. That's true.
Second of all, I was spending less money in the grocery store.
There you go. So it was money saved.
It was money saved. Exactly.
Now,
my kids not necessarily liked it, because they're very picky about tastes and flavors. But I only had one if anybody who knows me knows how many people come through my house on a given week, and they're eating the food that I've made and they all like it. And I'm not tooting my horn. I'm just saying it this way. One guy out of the 3 years I've been doing this now, I think are really good odds that I probably know what I'm doing to some degree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, there are going to be some people because they do it in the gardening community. Oh,
Every
I can,
community's got them.
right. You know, they say, I can buy it cheaper than I can grow it. There's going to be those people who are going to say, I can buy it cheaper than I can it. What would you tell them?
Okay, that's kind of ironic and funny you said that, because me and my mom just had this conversation this morning. So she said, I want you to can peaches again this year, because that in that first year, that 600 jars we did peaches and pears in quart jars. Okay.
Oh, man.
The taste is no comparison to can. I mean, there is
Right. They're
one
much better.
oodles better. I don't
Yes.
care what nth degree you want to call it. It was better. The cost is ineffective, though. When I go out and I get a bushel of peaches, and I live not even 2 miles from a peach orchard, they're astronomically priced down there. The product is not as good quality as it had been. It costs me probably with jar and I don't even include the time, but the jar, the syrup you got to make to put in it, and the time you got to stand there, just the time you got to stand there, not being paid for the time. It's probably costing us, I would say, $6 to $7 a pint.
Right.
There's no way I can compete with a big can from Walmart or Safeway or the local store here. I can't.
Right.
And I would much rather, the trade-off isn't the same for vegetables. I can get vegetables in a can and do them for far less than the peaches are going to cost.
Absolutely.
Okay, so are there things out there that I probably won't do unless prices change? Peaches and pears are going to be one of those things I'll sacrifice, because I don't have to sacrifice a lot of the other things.
Right.
Meat, I usually, when I do protein, I've only done protein about 4 times now, 5 times now. And protein would be inclusive of, mainly I've done, I did do some pork tenderloin. I did. And there's an explanation with pork tenderloin. I don't want to hear anybody complain that I spent oodles of money on pork tenderloin. I got a great deal, so that's why I did the pork tenderloin.
Right.
Chicken I've done, and we did a lot of broth. That was the things we did. Okay. I like right now I got in my freezer, which I shouldn't tell anybody this, but I don't care. I've got 6 picnic pork shoulders inside my freezer that I'm waiting here in just a month or so. And I'm going to pull them out and I'm going to do them all. And they're all going to get processed at the same time, because I grabbed them when they were $11 for the whole thing. Right. I grabbed the pork tenderloins when I got them down to 97 cents a pound. Why would I turn that down?
Right. Exactly.
At under $1 a jar, because I already had the jars. So I wasn't spending money on the jars.
Right.
If I never have anything, I have plenty of jars in my house. Okay.
And I think
now, whether they're full or empty, that's, that's a whole nother conversation. Point being is that at 90, even if I want to throw in the 3 cents for the seasoning and whatever into each jar, I'm still making it for $1. I can't beat that price. That price will never be beat. And the flavor is so much better.
Right.
Okay. Now, compared to the peaches, there ain't no way I can touch that. I just can't. So it's really it's got to be a personal thought process. If you're willing to sacrifice the $6 a jar to make the homemade peaches and the homemade pears instead of going to the store and get them, by all means do them. I give you kudos. I congratulate you that you're able to do that. I'm just not in a position to be able to do that. So.
Right. But wouldn't you also say, though, that the superior flavor and knowing what's in that jar is worth the time and the money?
There's a trade-off with that, because I agree with you 100%. Knowing what I put in that jar and knowing there's no additives, no preservatives, it's just fruit, and assuming your sugar and your pectin are clean products.
Right.
It's knowing what I put in there, I think, was one of the pushes for me to do this YouTube channel, is because I knew what I was cooking, because I knew what I was putting in the food. Okay. Right. I think I don't think you can ever trade that off. There is no trade-off for it. But for me, in the situation I gave, it was more of a financial comparison than it was anything, because if it's flavor and knowledge of what's in that jar, I'll always do it home canned all the way.
Right. Because at the end of the day, it's a healthier lifestyle. And it's a healthier living. You there? Hey, Tony.
Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I'm just waiting on you to clear up, bro.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Sorry.
You were doing this. Yeah. There you go. Yep.
And see, on my side, it looks like you're doing it.
That's funny. Heather says with canning, I do it because I'm tired of being given ingredients I can't pronounce and then being told it's food. No, not food. I eat as close to as God intended as possible. And that's right. That's right. That's a very good reason to can.
Part of the thing that, I try to tell people, and when I get the chance to educate them about it, and it goes with exactly what she's saying. You got to look at how our bodies were created. Our bodies were created to eat not as much meat as we do, more fruits and vegetables and nuts and stuff like that. And when you swap that paradigm around, you start having problems with things you have no knowledge what you're doing.
Right. Absolutely. And I totally agree. I've noticed the older I've gotten,
oh, you had to go down that road, did you?
Yeah, I did. I had to go down that road.
Okay.
The older I've gotten, the less meat I desire.
I'm with you on that. That's funny. I'm kind of the same way.
It's not that I don't want meat.
No.
Because I want meat. Every meal I want some meat, but right. The quantity has greatly reduced.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I'll eat, if there's bacon, I'll eat one piece of bacon.
Right.
When I was younger, I'd eat the whole slab of bacon.
Yep.
The older I've gotten, the less I want, and I wonder if it's not our bodies change that from higher testosterone to a lower testosterone, the whole dynamic changing, and our body's saying, "Yeah, bro, you don't need all that right now.
Right.
You need more of this." And in fact, the fruits and vegetables taste better to me. Years ago, you would have had to open my mouth and funnel in asparagus because I would not eat it, right? And now I'll gladly eat asparagus. Heck, you got asparagus? Yeah, thanks. I'll grow it. Swiss chard, different things that I've come to learn about and love to grow. I eat a ton of it, and years ago, not long ago, maybe even up to 8 years ago, you would have really fought me to eat that because I'd be like, yeah, no, bro, we ain't eating that. That anything that makes your pee stink is not meant to go in your body. That's what I would have.
I agree with you.
Right, like that's what I would have told you. But now I'm like, heck yeah, man, that's detoxifying my body. Give me more of that stuff.
Yeah, but when we're 18, 20, and 25, we're invincible and nothing's going to tell us what to do. So,
right, exactly. Now, and I see how that's changed, though. The way that I've changed eating has changed the way that we shop, which then in turn changed the way my kids eat.
Yep.
Okay. And even though they would maybe want more meat or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. It's a healthier lifestyle for them.
Right.
And
well, it's much nicer to see a kid go reach for carrots or celery or parsnips or whatever. I don't care what you throw out there.
Right.
Then you pick up a bag of Doritos. I mean, it's a reality, It's much better for them. So. Oh, you got rooted in Texas in here too?
Yeah. They just chimed in. What's going on, Nina and boys? It also changes the way that we can, and so with that we can more of the fruits and vegetables. And back to your potato chip thing, though, you can take a lot of these things like carrots and parsnips and things like that, and turn them into chips.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
And the kids will devour them.
Yep.
You know, and that and you
Notice
use it.
with my son, it's the salt. That's what he has to have.
Yeah,
Because if it's not salty enough, he doesn't like it. It's too bland.
right,
Which I keep telling him we got to watch that. You know, you don't.
right.
I don't need
Yeah,
you downing a whole thing of
right.
salt, but
Well, I tell you what, there's two types of salt. That the Celtic salt is a good one. All right, Celtic sea salt's a good one. The Himalayan pink salt is a good one, and then the other salt that's here in America, Lawson's, I think is what it is another good salt. Doug and Stacy
oh,
always
okay,
promote that salt,
okay,
and and they say that it's much better for you, and that it's actually a good substance to take in. Like
right,
Doug and Stacy will put it in their water and drink it,
right.
just to make sure they got salt, every day.
So we've changed. We don't use Morton's iodized table salt. We don't use that. I do keep it on hand for
Right,
emergency if we run out and I need something.
right,
But generally speaking, we don't. Most of the time, it's normal sea salt or it's pink Himalayan salt. The flavor is much better. You're more able to control. To me, you're
right,
more able to control how it alters the taste of your food, and I know it's better for you.
right.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Those extra minerals and stuff that you get in there is a much needed thing.
yes,
You know.
yeah,
So the other thing that I was wanting to touch on, we already touched on, why you do it, the importance of doing it. But let me see. Let me add in my questions.
I know one of the other things you said was doing it on a budget. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, there we go. Doing it on a budget. Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and ask your question and then I'll answer. Sorry.
So doing it on a budget, because like I was saying earlier, there's going to be those people who are going to say, well, I can't, it's much cheaper to go out here and do this than that. Doing it on a budget can be done. We've talked about this. I've seen you do it. How can people get started budget canning?
Okay. Budget canning. Okay. That's a little different than budget fooding, I guess is the word. Are you talking specifically just canning though?
Well, I mean, you don't have to talk about just canning. We don't have to talk. I mean, because
the reality of canning, you can take in all honesty, and I've got 3 or 4 of them around here. You can take a 16-quart saucepan or a stock pot. Make sure there's something in the bottom of the pan because you don't want to break your jars.
Right.
You can use that for a water bath canner. Now, anything that it needs to be cooked at above 212 degrees, you can't use that for because it doesn't get hot enough for that. Okay.
Right.
You would need a pressure canner. I'm not even going to begin to tell you how you do that on a budget. Okay. But with the stock pot, I mean, you don't need fancy equipment. You don't need a lot of things, but you got to be careful about it. That's what you got to be. You got to be, when you go to can, you got to make sure you can assert the time necessary to follow that process through. Okay.
Right.
Because so many things can happen if you're not sitting there watching, and we all know that it does to some people. Okay. That's the easy approach. Now, the other thing I can tell you is you can go to yard sales, garage sales, secondhand stores, and look for jars. Okay. Make sure they're a Mason style jar. Okay. Because the new lid should still fit on them. What I would tell you to be careful about, you don't know what anybody's put in there. There could be gasoline, there could be oil, there could have been urine inside of those. So you need to make sure they're sterilized, they're cleaned, they don't have that odor of whatever in there anymore. You need to really, really make sure. I would suggest if you have a dishwasher, run them through a dishwasher 2-3 times first before you even think about using them. You can boil them off, but again, that's your house, your rules. You do what you want to. I'm just saying, be careful of that. But there are less impactful things on your pocketbook that you can do to start canning. Okay. In regards to just setting up a pantry, I think the best thing that people have to take in mind is that a pantry is not just a room inside of a closet or inside of a spare room you don't use anymore. Your pantry technically can be, at least what I define it as, can be your freezer, can be your cupboard, can be your refrigerator, can be a secondary pantry, can be spice rack, it can be dehydrated items, it could be whatever. Okay.
Right.
Because it's all a part of the whole unit, is what it is. How do I stockpile? So I have, and I don't mean stockpile in zombie apocalypse. That's not what I mean.
Right.
I mean stockpile in the sense of providing so that your family are covered for 6 months or a year or whatever it is your goal is.
Right.
If it's in my freezer, then it's in my freezer. But if you use a freezer, then you need to be cautious. How am I going to accommodate that freezer getting broke? And now I got 400 pounds of food I got to do something with. Right. Hopefully you know what to do with it.
Right.
Most of the other things aren't going to be so as drastic as a freezer is. The freezer is going to be your worst thing, because if it's in your refrigerator, odds are you ain't got $500 worth of meat sitting in your refrigerator. Most people don't. Okay. Right. But in the freezer part, you probably do have a good amount in there.
Right.
Just be aware and set yourself up. So, okay, if that goes and I can't get it replaced or fixed, or somebody out here to look at it for 4 days, that meat's going bad. So you're going to have to do something with it. Okay. Have a backup to your backup to your backup. That's the best way to do it.
Right.
Now, you don't have to go out and spend, and I've seen them do it all the time. You don't have to go out and spend $5,000 on setting up a pantry. You don't.
That's right.
Take $10, go to the dollar store, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, dollar whatever you call it, or catch your local store at a sale. Just buy $10 worth of stuff and start. Then every payday, just put more into it. But make sure it's on a rotational basis. Keep track of that. It does you no good to put food up on a shelf, and all you do is keep shoving more cans in front of it, because the stuff in behind's not getting used, and it's going to go bad eventually.
There you go. Right there.
Okay. Other than that, it's easy. You just got to commit to it.
And that's very true. If you keep canning stuff, if you've already got 10 different jams and jellies, you don't need to do any more jams and jellies for a while.
No.
Or at very least, if you want to make more, either sell the other ones,
right,
or give them away.
Yeah.
Right. And just make sure that they bring your jars back, and your jars and rings come back, or you don't get. We've got a rule.
I'm with you.
We will give you anything you want.
Yep.
Jars and rings come back.
I even do it. I do it different. I do it like that. But one thing else I do different, like if I'm making homemade barbecue sauce that I've canned, everybody like, oh, I want some. Like, you bring me a case of jars, I'll give you a case of barbecue sauce.
There you go.
Well, let me say this. You bring me jars, I'll give you the sauce. Oh, I don't have jars. Then go buy me a case. Then I'll trade it out with you.
Right.
But I want to make sure I have a jar to replace what I'm sending out with you.
I like that. What we do is you're on the honor system. The first time you don't bring me jars and rings back, don't ask me for nothing else until my jars and rings come back, because you won't get it. So if that means you have to go buy some to get something, then that's just what it is. But my jar and rings, it's going to come back one way or another.
But and that barter system is actually a real thing, and I'll tell you why. We had a gentleman who lived, literally across the street over here, older guy. His wife got sick. He wasn't doing the garden anymore. He got sick in the middle of winter, but his garden he had already started, so he let it go. He had 80 pounds of tomatoes sitting over there. He couldn't do nothing with, because he couldn't do it anymore. Gave them to us, and we brought him over, and we had 4 jars of tomato sauce, pasta sauce I made for him. Took back over. He had moved out. Okay. But the point is, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to donate me something and you don't have the money to get them, I, by all means, have no issue with giving you something back for what you gave to us. That's not a problem. Okay. Nope. But I'm talking about, just like you were, the ones that know they want to come, that I want a jar in place of it. That guy is a little different, because he donated the product that we were making.
It's my neighbors. They're great people, and they can a lot. What we do is Oh, yeah, sorry.
You need to take a nap, is what
Man,
you
I
need.
am more slap out. What we do is um, we will either give to them whatever they want. We'll tell them, hey, come up here. We got excess in the garden. Come up here, pick it, make whatever you want. Okay, go ahead.
Miley, come on. Come on. Miley, come on. Go. Sorry.
No, you're
Dog
good.
on the loose. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So we either let them come up here and pick whatever they want, or they come up here and can with Annie and split everything. So,
Right.
for instance, if they come up here and they pick, 20 pounds or 30 pounds of tomatoes, they'll kick us back, half a case or even a case sometimes of sauce back, right? Like tomato, what they call base, right?
Right.
It'll have peppers and tomatoes and everything else in it. And they'll kick that up to us. Or they come up here and they help Annie can everything, and they take a case and we take a case because they came up here and they helped, right? To help Annie can it. And so it works out great. It's a beautiful system, that we've worked out with them. And that's what it's about, though. It's about having that community and being able to do that.
Right. I agree with you 100%. And we're sitting here laying out guidelines. Those guidelines can be fluctuated for your situation. You're not stuck to doing it our way or doing it my way, doing it Ryan's way, or doing it somebody else's way. You got to adapt to what fits you. Okay.
That's right. So
the other thing I was going to say too is that what I do is I do rotational canning every 2 years, and now I don't do it at the same time. So 1 year I do apple butter, and that I'm doing 25 pounds of apple butter. That lasts us 2 years. I'm giving it away as gift items, and I don't make it the next year. The year I'm not making it, then I make applesauce.
Right.
Okay. So I'm on a constant rotation, and then the third year I'm coming back to the apple butter. So
that works. And that's a good thing to do, because then you don't have an overabundance of stuff.
Right. Which that's already made?
No.
It's probably in the freezer.
The one that's made. Like that was.
That's gone. You guys, everybody ate it already. He wants pepperoni pizza, wants to know where it's at now.
That's funny.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So, do you have an example of budget canning and like how somebody can get started?
I thought I already went over that.
You did, but I like an actual example, like if they wanted to go and get dry beans and can 25 pounds of dry.
Okay, I don't can beans.
Right.
And that again goes back to this.
Right.
But I'll give you an example. Let me give you this example, okay? Carrots, and whether you like them or not, just hear the theory out behind it, okay? Here 3 weeks ago, carrots were on sale up at our local grocery store. The bag you could get, and it's one of those big, I think it's like 3 pounds of carrots or something.
Right.
Normally they're like $3.95 or $4.95, depending on which you get. They had them on sale for 97 cents a bag. So we went up and bought 20 bags. Now, people would say, oh, there you go. You're doing that whole buying the store up thing. No, I had a single intended purpose behind it. And if I don't do it, somebody else is going to, or they're going to throw it away. So
that's right. It'll be in the dumpster.
We went and got our bags, and then we went ahead and canned, I think it was 37 jars of carrots.
Okay? That's awesome.
When you break it down, you take 37 and you divide that by, what did I say, 90 some cents? It basically, we'll say 20 bucks, 25 bucks. There's no way I can't beat that price. I can't.
No.
Okay. That's how you do it. That's how you start. Okay.
Yep.
Now there's going to be other things that are not going to be that cheap. There are things out there, again, back to the pears and the peaches. Okay. You got to be thought process about that. Only do that if you're able to get 25 pounds of peaches for 10 bucks, then by all means do the peaches. Okay. But you also have to look at when things go on sale. Cranberries is another one. We do homemade cranberry sauce. We do the whole of the jelly, and we also make a special sauce that we use for our desserts. Okay.
Man.
I will get them when they're frozen because I just leave them frozen.
Right.
And then I'll pull them out as I need them. But I can do that all year long. I'm not waiting for Christmas or Thanksgiving to come around.
Right.
You
I
know?
like that. I like that because here's the thing. Once Christmas and Thanksgiving comes around, those items cranberry goes up.
Yes, it does.
Cranberry sauce goes up.
It goes way up.
Right.
And it shouldn't be. But
No,
it does.
shouldn't. It does.
The other
Especially
thing
if
that
you get
goes with
Ocean
that, I'm
Spray.
going to tell what was that?
Especially if you get Ocean Spray.
Yes. I'm going to tell everybody something. I'm not sure, and I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence. I'm just throwing this out there. Especially when it comes to jams and jellies. What you can do with fresh, you can do with frozen as well.
There you go.
Okay. So don't think I got to have a flat of fresh blackberries to make blackberry jam. You go back on my channel, you look through the videos. There's a video in there on using just frozen blackberries to make blackberry jam.
I wonder if you can make cranberry sauce from cranberry juice.
Well, if it would be more of a jelly, but yeah, you should be able to, because you're saying sauce as the jelly, not the whole berry.
Right. Yeah. Because like whenever, like around here, we call it cranberry sauce, and it's the jelly in a can. You dump it out, and it's solid can. You know, you cut a slab of it. And, you know, yeah. I wonder if you can. So yeah. And you think about how many jars that one bottle of cranberry juice will make of cranberry jelly sauce, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so let me throw one more out at you. I know I can go and I can get Concord 100% juice, and I can bring it back, and I can get 6 to 10 pint jars or half pint jars, depending on how it works out, of Concord grape jam, jelly. So if you can do it for jelly, why can't you do it for what you're talking about?
Right. Now, see, now you think about that. Now, what if you went and got the concentrate? You remember the concentrate?
I've never read up on it, and I've never done it, so I don't have an answer for you, but I would be curious about it because it'd be like, wait a second.
Right.
Concentrate, that should buy me more.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So now we're into a whole different ball game because you think about how much you can get out of that. And then you're not having to have the process of putting it through a sieve and getting all the pulp and all the skin and all that stuff out. You know, you got it all right there. I like that.
Matter of fact, and it's something, again, it's in my rotation. So I actually have a 3-year rotation, even though I said 2. I was trying to give you an example, but I have a 3-year rotation. I do apple butter 1 year, I do applesauce another year, and then I do apple jam the 3rd year. Okay. When I'm doing the apple jam, though, the apple or jelly, not jam. When I do the apple jelly, that's from apple juice.
Oh, really?
So again, I keep coming back to this cranberry thing for you.
Right.
I don't know why you can't, because it would theoretically be the same thing. As long as it's 100% juice. It's not filled or fillers or anything inside of it.
So Prepping for Heaven is saying it wouldn't have the same taste. The juice would not have the natural pectin to thicken it.
Well, that's if you're going on the natural. If you're looking at it from a natural point of view, yes, she's correct, because there wouldn't be enough pectin. I use pectin powders, so
right. We even whenever we use fresh stuff around here, we use pectin powder.
I still throw pectin powder in there just to make sure.
Right. Now, here's something I've been thinking about for Jam It Up June.
Okay. Oh, which, by the way, I want to throw this out there real quick. Anybody that wanting to do Jam It Up June, I will be sending those invitations out here probably in the next couple days. So
there you go. So if you want to get in on it, start thinking about your thing.
Email me if you want to get in on it, and then I can make sure you're in on it.
There you go.
Excuse
I've
me.
never seen a banana jam.
I don't know that you can do it, actually. I'm not, well, okay, let me say, from here, I don't know if you can do it. But I'm learning the hard way. Don't ever say you can't do it, because I've been proved wrong so many times. So,
because I love bananas, and if I can have a banana jam,
oh God, you're making my mouth water really.
The smell of banana jam.
I'm with Lori. I don't think you can, but you know, you may be able to find some way around that.
Well,
I don't.
here's what made me think of it, because I've seen people make pawpaw jam.
Okay, Mike Evans has got a point, because I've seen that monkey butter. Go look up monkey butter. Look it up.
All right.
I knew there was something and I couldn't remember what it was.
Okay. Well, the first thing, maybe not so much. But the second thing is from one little project. It says the best monkey butter recipe ever. And
we're just talking about canning stuff, nothing else.
Yeah, because I was like, hang on a minute.
It dawned on me what you were saying for a second.
Like, hang on a minute, we don't want that.
No. The second one is what we want you to look at.
Right. Now, hey, whoa, there's a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, hey.
Now, can you get it so it's shelf stable? I don't know about that. Okay. And I'm not even going to sit on here and profess that I know that, because I don't.
Well, hang on a minute. Because here's what you do. You say banana. Jelly.
Another thing, a lot of people, and there's people out there that will disagree with me, and
Boom.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Banana
jam recipes.
Okay. Look into that, my friend, and just verify things. That's all I ask. Because I'm with Lori, and here's where I'm at. I make apple butter, I've made pear butter, and I've made peach butter. Okay.
Right.
Awesome flavors, best things in the world. Talk about put over some vanilla ice cream and see what kind of flavor you got there. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to do my own pumpkin puree. And so I went through, and something told me you better look into it. Pumpkin puree is not approved to do, because they have tested it, and you can't heat the center of the jar evenly enough is the problem when it's processed. Okay. Now, I know for facts there are people out there that do it. I'm not going to say they're wrong. I'm just saying I'm not going to do it.
How do they get pumpkin puree in a jar?
You got to remember that's a different process. That's not. It's a different process in two senses. Okay. Number one, when you go now, some people disagree, and I get it. Again, I'm not here to have a fight. I'm just telling you from my experience and knowledge what I know. Okay. When you have a canning facility that is canning pumpkin puree, their kettles are usually up to 250, 260, 270.
Okay.
You don't usually get that much heat in a pressure canner, which you would have to use. Okay. I think if I'm right, if I remember right, at least what it used to be, let me look. I think it's 250 is as high as it goes in a pressure canner. It is 264. Okay. That most canning facilities, if I remember correct, they're higher than that. Okay. So number one, you can't reach the temperature that they do. Number two, you have the system that they've got in place is not the same system you would have set up at your house. That's the thing to remember.
Right.
Yes, I get the theory behind it, because it's something I questioned in the beginning when I transitioned from this book Nazi to a normal human being again. Was, well, wait a second. If these places can do it, why can't we do it? Okay.
Right.
One of the things was the temperature's different. Okay. Number two, the equipment they use is different, which I'll give that.
Right.
Okay. And not only that, most places like that, they've had somebody test their process out. Okay. Right. We've had somebody test out pumpkin puree through the USDA, and they say they cannot get in the way we do it at home. You cannot get a guaranteed temperature in the middle of the jar. Okay. You will on the outside, and you will touching towards the middle, but dead center in that jar, we can't guarantee your temperature is going to be what it has to be at.
So what we need is a new jar. That
either a new jar or a place that will start testing shit again. Stuff. Sorry.
You're good. You're good.
I get adamant about what I'm talking about.
You're good, bro. You're good.
Or a place that will test again. Until that happens, we're kind of stuck where we're at.
If we had a new jar, now hear me out. If anybody who is making jars is listening, if we had a jar that the center of the jar had like a reverse test tube going up the center to where water could get up into the center of the jar.
Theoretically,
And
that would
only on
work.
the sides you had your stuff, and the center of the jar could get hot. I'm just saying, we could then can pumpkin puree.
So then here's where we lead into this conversation, because eventually I don't want to leave people hanging. Okay. This is where I struggle. Okay. We are only one of 3 countries that does it this way. Okay? We are only one of 3 countries that uses a 2-lid system. Almost every other country in the world uses a 1-lid system.
Like we used to when we had zinc lids with porcelain centers.
Right. Okay. Number one, I don't want people to misconstrue that the process is exactly the same, because it's not. Okay. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm not saying it's not healthy. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. That is not what I'm saying, because I have friends across. I have friends across the pond that will gladly disagree with me that it can be done. Okay. We don't have anything that says it can be and how to do it. That's what we're missing over here. Okay.
Right.
And let's be honest, this goes back to the original part of this whole conversation we started having when we were with Ball and Kerr. Okay. I want everybody to know Ball is still in business, but what a lot of people don't realize, do you know that Ball Lids is a subsidiary of the Ball Corporation? Do you know what they primarily do? Aerospace. That's right. Their primary business. Okay.
Hence the little thing that they used to have, the little symbol they used to have with their older jars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think, well, I know for a fact, okay, Mason was the guy that came up with the whole system we use now. Okay. Ball purchased it from them and has had it for 80, 90, 100 years. Okay. They were a separate entity, then conglomerated into the umbrella company, which now owns it that way. Okay. I really have a hard time taking my direction from an aerospace company on how to home can.
Right.
Okay. Because they're not going to be there to tell me food X, food Y, and food Z are safe to be done. They're going to tell me their product is working all the time.
That's true.
Makes sense?
Yep. Makes perfect sense.
Right. So, yeah, have your problem with the USDA. And I'm not knocking anybody in here. I'm just saying in general, this place was not set up to do that. Okay. The problem is, I think over time, and we'll go back to these 60s, 70s, 80s, when this became a thing, I think the two of them were they were interchangeable, in cahoots. We'll use that word with each other. Right. Because if Ball didn't say it was okay, it wasn't approved. That's just the way it worked.
Right.
Okay.
And so many things are like that now, because you have your lobbyists from Ball who then go to the government, USDA, and they say X, Y, and Z is safe. And USDA or government approves it and says, okay, that's fine.
Right.
Then sometimes they have their falling out, and the next thing you know, they're separate again.
Right.
But somebody is always in the ear. There's always a lobbyist in the ear of government entities, right? The ABC people, right?
Right.
And so, and maybe that's a coalition of people over here need to get together and do their own testing and researching and see what they can come up with and write their own books and stuff.
So there is, okay, this might bite me somewhere down the road, but I hope it doesn't. There are some channels out there, believe it or not, who actually have purchased testing equipment. Okay. I ain't got that kind of money, nor am I going to profess to have that kind of money. And I am not going to be the guy that says, hey, Ryan, you know what you can do? All you have to do is change X, Y, and Z, and you can have this fixed.
Right.
I'm not about that. Okay.
Right. Right.
I don't want to come back in 10 years down the road, have somebody sue me because of something I've said.
Totally get it. Yep.
I'm not saying yes or no, Heather, but that was a good guess.
But here's the thing. People across the pond have better food.
Right.
There's not these cancerous things within their food.
Right.
Yellow number 5.
Have you seen a label from the UK compared to a label from here?
Much different.
Oh yeah.
Much different.
Me and Blue compared flour one day. There's 2 ingredients in the flour for her.
Yep. And we've got like 7.
There was 17 plus ingredients in our flour.
It's crazy, ain't it?
It's supposed to be just wheat.
Flour. Right.
Flour.
Right.
Nothing else. Okay.
Yep. And so here's my last question. Do you think, now you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, because I don't want anything.
You've never asked me a question I have not answered.
Well,
yet.
I just don't want this to be something that might bite you. But
okay.
Do you think if you have friends that are in the UK or elsewhere who are canning, safely canning, and they are doing it in a way that is different than ours, but it's safe and proven, would you use that recipe? Yes,
okay, let me put it to you this way, and I can't just give you a yes or no. I have to qualify it.
Go ahead.
We have a mutual friend who sits over across the pond.
Yep.
That mutual friend, my first Jam It Up June, I was willing to die on a sword for because of this question right here. And she makes a very valid point. Why is it the way you do it in the US, make it so it's not okay for us to do it here in the UK when it's the way we do it all the time? I said, well, as long as you're following your rules, your stipulated guidelines, or at least my family's done it 100 years this way and nobody's ever gotten sick. Nobody can argue with you. That it's a whole different country. We have no control over that.
Right.
We did get some lashback on it. Oh, I don't like the way she's doing that. That's not safe, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa, hold on, Pedro. She lives in the UK. We live in the US. Your guidelines and way of thinking about it are different than theirs are. I'm not going to tell her she's a bad canner because she's doing it the way that she was taught to do it.
Right.
I'm not versed enough to say whether she is or not. I went and checked basic guidelines just so I had somewhat of an understanding, but their process is totally different.
Right.
Just from the beginning, they use a 1-lid system. We use a 2-piece lid system.
Right.
You're going to be different anyways. Okay.
Right.
They have the mentality that you should be able to water bath can anything. Okay.
Right.
You just have to extend the time you do it. You have to make sure it's submerged. Now, Blue has, and I'll just say it, Blue is the one I'm talking about. She's been very open about it, though, to me, and she'll say, it is very safe the way I'm doing it. Everything's sterilized. I follow food handling safety guidelines. I follow kitchen, what's the word I'm looking for? Now I can't think. Guidelines we'll just go with.
Right.
And it's different than it is than you guys are in the US, but it's still a safe process. And it's like, I'm not here to criticize it. If you are from another country,
right,
you do what you need to do. As long as you're doing what you need to do, I will back you up.
Right. Absolutely.
If you're and I'll use the term, if you are a rebel canner and that's your lifestyle and that's the way you do it, good for you. But I really don't want to see that on my stuff, on my collaborations.
Right.
Because I'm a US channel. I don't want to have to fight with somebody 10 years down the road because I let somebody do it X, Y, and Z. In her case specifically, I could back it up. She's from another country. That's their guidelines, not mine. So I think I answered your question and what you're asking. Especially if they're from another country, I will back them up because I am not here to be the universal international canning Nazi cop guy, whatever.
Right. So but would it be all right? Since we already know who we're talking about, let's say Blue gave me a recipe, says this is what I do, X, Y, and Z. This is what I use, and I say okay, and I follow what she says to a T. Would that be acceptable for me? Is what I'm saying. Like if somebody in the U.S.
Okay,
was
let
watching
me. I see what you're saying, but let me put it to you this way: the same way she put it to me. We have had this conversation many times. Okay, she said up until, and I can't even remember when it was, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. They actually never had a case of botulism over there. They did end up having a case of botulism, but it's because a yogurt factory created the problem. It wasn't a home canner. Okay.
Okay.
What they run into more problems with is salmonella and E. coli.
Okay.
Okay. Which makes sense. I mean, if you think about it.
Right.
Okay. And she was very upfront and honest. And I had to go do the research. And I now know that she's correct because I've done my research. Botulism is in all of our food that grows from the ground.
What?
You have it. Yeah. You know what's stopping it from becoming a problem? Contact with air.
Really?
That's why they tell you when you do your cooking
Headspace.
process is to debubble, get the air out. So
Okay.
you're not allowing that botulism to grow in the airspace, the air pocket.
Okay.
Anyways, back to what she said, though. That is not something they deal with. You very rarely hear about botulism, or have you? It's always been E. coli, salmonella, or something. But if you're cooking it hot enough, theoretically, most of those things are killed off.
Okay.
But botulism is one of those things that doesn't kill off until it hits 264. So,
so you got to be super, super hot. And that's why you can't make the puree.
There you go.
See?
So in the puree problem, it's the viscosity inside the center does not heat up enough, and there's possibility of air pockets, which then you could get the botulism problem. Okay.
Okay.
So, there you go.
Awesome. See, I learned
There's
something
your
new
science
today.
class for the day.
I learned something new, man. I love that. That's awesome. But
again, I mean, if you here's the reality. Now take away the science part of it. Okay. If you want to do a recipe that Blue tells you to do, and it's not, it kind of goes against something you're used to, you're taking the chance on your own. That's all I can say. And you know as well as I do, she is not going to send you something that she thinks is going to be not okay.
Right.
So she doesn't do it that way. But there's been things that she's canned, and I'm like, interesting. Okay. I won't be trying that, but it looks good.
Right.
You know, but that's more of that is fear on my own because of what I know and don't know than anything.
I'm this kind of person who's like, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
And that's what her point is. If 197 other countries can do it, why can't the other 3?
Right. And so I'm just kind of like, it almost feels like to me, like restraints are put on us to keep us from having that freedom.
I feel, and again, this may bite me back later down the road, and I don't really care because it's where I'm at with the whole thing and where I'm at right now. I honestly feel, agreeing with you, it was control. It also created a monster that we can't get away from, or it's hard to get away from. I'll say it that way. Okay. I really halfway wonder if the USDA and Ball were not in cahoots legitimately. I mean it, and I'll say it, to create this system that was put in place. Okay. Was it? I don't know. I have no idea, but it doesn't make sense to me. And it's always been the question I ask. And she even made this point to me. If you go watch the YouTube channel from Azerbaijan or whatever the name of it is, and it's a husband and wife that go out there and they can Blue's way of canning. None of them end up sick ever. Never. Never. And they're doing it in gallon jars. We're not allowed to do it in gallon jars because that's too much. And you don't viscosity and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, why?
Right.
Why can they do it and we can't? And actually, in all honesty, they do it over a wood stove. We do ours over a controlled heat. So why wouldn't we be?
Because that's fluctuating all over the place. You ain't keeping steady.
But they've also learned how to do it too. You know, I'll give to that. But validity in her direction of how they do it there, really the way we do it is, in her honest words, it's asinine because it's three countries that think they own the canning world, and they really don't when it comes down to it.
Right.
But we do.
Now, one last question, and I promise I'll let you go. I've
Oh,
always
you're
wondered.
trying to let me go. Okay.
No, I ain't trying to let you go. One question I've always wondered, because I go out metal detecting and I find the old zinc lids with the porcelain inserts, right? And that's a one lid can.
Yes.
All right. I always wondered, why our jars now have a ring and a lid? Because they used to be the one lid, and I thought because the zinc lids was bad for us that they got away from that.
Well, I don't think when Mason jar was made, I don't think that was a consideration yet. I could be wrong, but I don't think that was the reasoning behind it. I think it was more of we were trying to get a way to pressurize canning. But that's not even the case either, because when that happened, that was back in the 1899 or something like that. We weren't pressure canning back then.
Right.
Not the way we do now anyways. I mean, there might be a form of it, but it isn't what it is now. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't remember what I've read it somewhere, but I don't remember what the push for it was.
Okay.
I don't remember, because in reality, but again, and it goes back to what some other people have said. Now I'll come back to, not naming names. They feel it was just a ploy to get us to be controlled and follow a certain guideline and a certain process, which I'm not a conspiracy theory person, but it makes sense to me if you look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking either one, the zinc lids were bad, maybe had something bad and it was leaking into the food somehow through the porcelain seal or something, or they needed the air to be able to escape, and having a two ring, a lid and a ring, or lid and a ring allow air to escape, where the one lid, didn't allow air to escape.
Okay, so I'll read you what I'm seeing just off the top. It's without doing any heavy duty research into it. Okay, on Google it says a single piece lid won't allow the essential air to escape. The essential air escape stage, and the bottom of the jar can blow out, causing mighty bang and making a mess. The lids can also buckle under pressure of buildups. Either way, these situations can be dangerous, and the innovative Mason two-part lid avoids any risk altogether. So what that implies to me, excuse me, is one of two things. They had a lot of buckling and a lot of blowouts. They were trying to figure out a way to fix that problem. At the time, he must have come up with something that worked, because I'm here still to tell you, two-piece lid system still, you can have blowouts from thermal shock, and you can have buckling of the lid from over tightening or faulty product. So that didn't cure the problem. No. It just probably made it less of a issue at the time.
Okay, so that makes sense. So I was kind of going in the right direction then too. So.
No, and I think that's a valid question that you never hear people ask. Why did we switch? And I'm glad I looked now. At least I have a base idea of it.
Right, exactly. Because I'm one of these people. I just want to know everything about stuff.
Right.
Whether it's useless information or not, I just like to know stuff.
I look at it this way: if I'm going to go put a pressure canner on and I have a chance of slicing my head off because it blows up, I want to know what I'm doing.
Right.
It just goes without saying, as far as I'm concerned.
I turn the pressure canner on and I tell everybody, step far, far away. Step far, far away.
I usually will only do pressure canning when I know everybody's going to be gone for 5 or 6 hours.
Yep.
Just because I don't want the slightest opportunity for something to go bad.
No, not even a bit.
Yeah.
So, what do you got coming up this year on your channel? And
okay, let's see if I can remember all of it. Well, we have Jam It Up June, Jarred Up July. We have, I'm going with the name I keep saying, so I hope it's right. I don't know. Plates Around the World.
World is your dinner plate.
Okay, World is your dinner plate, and me and you and your son will be doing that one. And I've already got 4 people signed up too, by the way.
I seen Blue.
And then she put her thing out on Instagram. Did you read that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. She's trying to starts with a B,
Right.
Boudin or something like I can't remember.
Right. So, and then okay, so that's August. If I do September with Leanne, I got that coming up. Then I'll have Croctober with Jenny. And then November's Noodle November. And then December, there's a bunch. But this year I'm doing a new one. And I don't even remember what I named it, but it's just strictly going to be Christmas candy.
Well, we have odd holiday meals.
We do have that one as well. Thank you.
Yep.
See, I told you I wouldn't remember all of them.
Yep. We got odd holiday meals. That's in December.
Yep.
So yeah. Yeah. And there was another one though that we did in January too, wasn't there?
Was it
February?
Tailgate time.
Yeah, tailgate time.
Yeah.
February we had something. Me and you did something. I can't remember what it was.
Ryan, you're trying to make me think.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
We are so busy with these collaborations. But Jamming Up June and Jarred Up July are going to be a lot of fun.
Yes. I think. And the thing I like about Jarred Up July, in all honesty, is
it's simple.
It doesn't have to be food. It can be whatever you do with a jar.
Put marbles in it. Put coins in it. Turn it into a bank. You know.
Yeah. But like Blue says, I don't want to see oil in a jar or nuts in a jar. You know, like bolts and nuts, because we all do that. But
okay, I thought you meant like mountain oysters.
Ryan, you don't help me make it PG-13 when you do things like that.
Hey, that's PG-13. Have I ever told you my first experience with mountain oysters?
No, I don't believe you have.
So let me tell you this. So we come back from Iraq.
Okay.
We all decide to go out to eat. And there's this fancy restaurant. So we go out there and we sit down and we're looking at the menu. And we're in Colorado. We're at Fort Carson, Colorado, right?
Right.
And my buddy says, "Oh, look, they have mountain oysters." Right? And he's like, "I'm gonna get them." And me and him's on the same wavelength. We're up in the mountains. These must be freshwater oysters that they're harvesting out of the Rocky Mountains, right? No.
Oh, Heartbreak Bake. That's what we had in February. Thank you.
Heartbreak Bake. Yes, thank you, Rutland, Texas. We're horrible. Our own collab, we can't even remember it. Good.
Sorry, go ahead.
So we're sitting there, and the lady brings out this plate, and it's got these
things on it.
Big old things on it.
Yeah.
He says, "Ma'am, I ordered the mountain oysters." She says, "That's what that is." He said, "No, ma'am, the oysters, the big old oysters, the mountain oysters, you know." He said, "That'd be, freshwater." And she's like, "Mountain oysters are another name for ball testicles." He said, "I think I need the menu back, please."
I love it.
Yeah.
You end up eating them?
No, nobody ate them things. No, in fact, I think all of us were sitting there going with our legs crossed, going, "Oh,
yeah. No, yeah. I'm okay. I don't need to do this."
Right. Yeah. It was horrible, man. Yeah. So,
that's funny.
But no, Jarred Up July. I that's gonna be some fun. I got some good ideas coming up for that.
There you go.
And Jamming Up June, we're going to look more into this banana stuff here. Don't none of y'all take my stuff. All right. Any of y'all try to take that, I will come after you. No,
that's funny.
But I really am looking forward to the world is your dinner plate too, because a 12-year-old come up with that idea.
Yeah.
And how awesome is that you're getting your kids involved, not even meaning to. Right. Mm-hmm. I didn't ask him for the idea. He just come up and said, "Hey, Dad, you think your buddy would be interested in doing this collab with you?" And I'm like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Well, I got this perfect idea about taking the first letter out of your name or out of your channel name and using that to find the country, and then picking a dish from that country to make." And I was like, buddy, come here. Let me give you a little hug and a little noogie. While, you know,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, because, you know, to me, that is one of the greatest forms of compliment to being a father.
Mm-hmm.
Because he thinks enough of what I do to sit and think about ideas for me.
Yep.
Right. Without me ever having to ask him. And I like that because he's offering up to me. That's him offering up his time.
Yep.
Right. Which that's all kids have is time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's offering that up. And I love it. I love it. And to me, I'm like, okay, I'm being inspirational to him.
Right.
Because he can use that to do other things in his life. You know, he's being creative.
I just thought it was a great idea. I had to mull it over, and I'm glad I did because I'm telling you, hindsight, I think I would have kicked myself in the rear had we not went forward with it because everybody is liking the idea. So
yeah, Bland is in. So we got Bland's Promised Land Ranch. They're in. They're thinking of their name, and as soon as they let me know, I'll send it over to you.
Okay.
And so yeah, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I highly encourage.
Mouse Toes is in.
Who?
Mouse Toes is in.
Oh, we got Mouse Toes.
Yep, and she's already picked her country. She's doing Morocco.
That's awesome. You know what's funny is last night I was thinking that.
Yep.
I was like Morocco.
Xander is doing Denmark.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yes. And I'm trying to decide because I got a few I can pick from, so I'm not sure which one.
Is Karachi's a country?
Huh?
Karachi's. Is that a country?
Name of countries. Carachas, huh?
Yeah.
I don't see it spelt with a C. Oh, no, this isn't in alphabetical order. Hold on. Let me look at it there.
No, I think it's in Spain.
And C and K, I'm not seeing it. But, you know, H, that's a good one. You only got 3 to pick from. You better hurry up and figure out which one you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Haiti, Honduras, and Hungary. That's your 3 choices.
Haiti, Honduras, and what?
And Hungary.
Hungary? Huh. I can do R for my first name.
No, because I think we need to limit it to just, and everybody I've been telling they got to use their
channel name. Okay.
But like Big Valley Living, they could use a B, a V, or an L. Unfortunately, you and I are stuck because mine's 2 Ks and yours is 2 H's.
That's true. 3 H's.
3 H's, but yeah.
Give me Haiti.
Okay, that's what you get.
I'm Haiti because I got some friends that are from the channel David's Been Here.
Yes.
And I will go and pick his brain for all kinds of oh yeah, there is Holland.
Oh, it's not in my list.
I forgot about that.
I wonder why it's not in my list.
I don't know. I forgot about Holland. But that's just more Eastern European stuff. I eat enough Eastern European food. I'm kind of burnt out on that. I want some Haiti food, some Haitian food.
Haitian food.
Yeah, yes. Haitian food. So I'm gonna go pick his brain because he goes down to Haiti all the time and does stuff. Have you looked at his channel yet? Since I told
what
you
is the name? I'll go look at it here.
David's Been Here.
Okay, I'll go look at it. I haven't yet though.
But
so I'll put look, Heather finally decided to join us.
Oh, look. Hey, Heather, how you doing? But
anyways, I'll put a list together and I'll get it out to you. And then as we add, we'll just let each other know.
Cool. But seriously, guys, if you guys want to get in on Jammed Up June, you need to get with Tony.
Yep.
If you want to get in for Jarred Up July, go on ahead and get with Tony. If you want to get in for this, The World Is Your Dinner Plate, go on ahead and get with Tony or me. All right. And let us know. And it's always nice to have the lists further in advance than it is having to wait till the last minute, try to get them together. It helps Tony out a lot. Tony, he takes up a lot of his time to do these collaborations, and I couldn't imagine trying to keep it all together. I would have a meltdown.
Well,
So,
you've seen where I went. I went to Old Age Meltdown. I couldn't even remember our name.
But Tony, I really appreciate you being here tonight. It's been a good place to be. A lot of good information that was shared tonight and stuff. And guys, if you're not following Tony, go over, check his channel out. It's worth a subscribe. All right. And it's a lot of, oh goodness, Haiti is into cannibalism.
Oh, geez. And you've already picked Haiti. I'm not changing it for you.
Ooh,
You might want to be vegan all of a sudden.
Do they eat goat? I mean, because if they eat goat,
I have no idea.
I mean, because that's kind of like what I was thinking. We're just gonna get a goat and eat a goat.
Or he says God's honest truth.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. That's not good.
Well, I'm gonna have to talk to David then, and ask David what he's got cooking down there. Cause I don't want no human stuff.
Yeah.
Wonder what they call those mountain oysters.
I don't think they're called oysters or anything other than what we call them.
Anyhow, no, seriously, it's been a good place, and I really appreciate you, Tony. And
thank you. Anytime.
And we have a lot of fun. Real quick, I gotta tell who all we got coming on in the next following weeks here. So next week we're back on Tuesday. It'll be May 14th. We've got Christine from Gillen Farms. May 21st, we got Brad Bledsoe, who is a giant grower. We're going to be talking to him. May 28th, we've got Enoch Graham, the urban gardener. June 4th, we got Zach Hatton from Hatton's Homestead. He's a giant grower. June 11th, Nick Kennedy, another giant grower. June 18th, we got Evan Weber, who is a giant grower. June 25th, we got Jesus Loving Homestead. July 2nd, we got Heather from Milk and Honey Homestead. July 9th, we got Flourish Florida Farm. July 16th, we got Michelle from Big Valley Living. July 23rd, we got Where to Begin Homestead. July 30th, we got Emmett Andrews, who is a giant grower. August 6th, we've got Destin Noak, the Texas garden guy. August 13th, we've got Angela, the inquisitive farm wife. And then on August 20th, we've got Cameron Barron. And then September 17th, we got Lisa from Yogi Hollow Farms. If you would like to come on and rooted in Texas, you're one of them that I would like to get on here. So August 27th, September 3rd, September 10th, September 21st, or September 24th. I mean, any of those times, anytime after that, I want to get you guys scheduled this year. But if you guys would like to come on, email me at babydrill2119@yahoo.com. In the subject title, put live stream.
Count us in, she said.
Huh?
Count us in, she said.
Awesome. Gotcha. So send me a message or something, and we'll Tony, send them my number.
Oh, need an invoice? I will.
Yeah,
I can
please.
do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
send them my number so they can text me, and then we'll talk. And then we'll get them scheduled out. But yeah, guys, I like having people come on. I don't care if you're a big YouTube channel, a small YouTube channel. It don't matter to me. I like having different people from different walks of life come on here and talk about what they're doing. That's what makes the world go round. That's what makes a community and what connects us all. All right.
Yep.
So it's been another good place to be here. Again, thank you so much, Tony, for being here. And absolutely. Anytime. Love having you on. But guys, we're going to go on ahead and get out of here. And we'll see you next time right here in the hollers and hills of West Virginia. See you guys.
Bye, guys.